Hey girls, Tiffany here and welcome back to Tuesday Girl Talk, and this video is going to be called Dreamers 102. Turns out that Dreamers 101, which I posted a few months ago, was a favorite for you girls, so I want to do a follow-up. And I also want to do this because several of you have written in questions about waiting. Like, what do I do while I'm single? How do I enjoy father-daughter time? But I think that the answer to those questions is very similar to the answer for all of life's waiting seasons. Like, there are always seasons in life when we're waiting on our dreams to come true. Whether that's getting out of school, getting the job you've dreamed of, getting married, going overseas as a missionary, or whatever else. And what do you do when you're waiting? So let's talk about that today. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you a little sneak preview of our trip to Europe because we leave this weekend. So stay to the end and check that out. So the first thing I learned about waiting is that comparison robs your joy. So here's an example, and this one's actually something I've been working through recently. I love this YouTube channel. Like, I love spending time with you girls and creating these videos, and I was like, wow, look at how much it's growing, and like, look at this community we're building, and like, I love these girls. And then I got distracted by looking at somebody else's path. So I started noticing that some other girls were growing way faster than my channel was, and I started wondering, what am I doing wrong? And as I started comparing where God had me to where God had them, it started taking away all the joy I had felt about YouTube. I started feeling discouraged and like I was just striving to be somewhere else on my path that God didn't have for me. And that happens in all different seasons of waiting. Like, in singleness, it's so easy to look at somebody else's path as you see all those notifications pop up on Facebook. It's like, why is she getting engaged and I'm not? Why does she have the awesome boyfriend and I don't? And it's so easy to compare where God has you to where God has that person. But comparison will rob your joy, the joy that was meant for you in your season. It reminds me of Proverbs 4 verse 25, which says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Pay attention to the path that God has you on." Tip number 2 is do what God has put in your hands to do. In every season of life, there's something He's put in front of you, whether that's your homework and your schoolwork, whether that's the job that you have, whether that's serving in your church. And it might not be what you've dreamed of doing down the road, but there's always something. And sometimes it seems so mundane and so boring and meaningless, but those things that God has for you to do, they're the building blocks. Sometimes those things specifically are going to create the path that He wants to lead you on. Like, for instance, I worked at a college for several years, and while I was working there, I was like, God, why am I not on the mission field? Like, send me to China, like, I'll go wherever. But He kept me there, and I was just faithful with what He would put in my hands to do. And turns out, while I was at that college, I learned how to use iMovie and how to shoot and edit videos. It wasn't like I became amazing at it, but I got the basic skills, and I had no idea that someday I would start a YouTube channel and need to know that. But God knew. And other times, just the fact that you're being faithful with where God's put you, that is doing something in your heart. Like, that's preparing your heart for where God wants to take you. One time I was meeting with the women's pastor at a church called Gateway in Texas, and she said, as long as you're doing what God has put in your hands to do, you cannot miss your destiny. And I love that. Like, I think that's so true. Just be faithful with what God has given you to do right now. Tip number 3, celebrate where God has you. Find the things that you enjoy about this season and really latch onto those things. So when I was single, one of the things I latched onto was that idea of father-daughter time. I latched onto the ministry I was able to do. I latched onto the friendships I was able to make and just celebrated the gifts God had given me. And for me, that helps me just enjoy the season of waiting so much more. Like, going back to my YouTube channel, I was able to kind of look past the comparison and say, okay, that's not where God has me right now. God has them there, and I will celebrate with them where God has them, but here's where He has me, and I love where He has me. I love making these videos. I love my girls and just celebrating the gifts God has given me. And it just fills me with so much joy. And instead of feeling discouraged, I just feel like, yes, let's do another video, you know, which is good because the past month I've been filming like crazy amounts of videos. So I'd have them all filmed for while I was in Europe, but I just loved it because it was like, do some more, because I was celebrating where God had me. Number 4, trust that God's purpose and timing are perfect. We don't always understand why things are taking so long, but he knows what he's doing. And at the end of the day, the dream in your heart is just one building block in his kingdom, and he knows how it fits and where it fits and when he wants to put it in place. Sometimes it's because he's getting us ready. Sometimes it has nothing to do with us, and it's just the timing just isn't right yet in his plan, in his perfect plan. Just trust him that there's all this stuff you don't see that's going on in the background, but in the right time, he will fulfill the dreams that he has put in your heart in the way that he wants to. And it reminds me of when Jesus said to his disciples, right now you don't know what I'm doing, but someday you will understand. And I think this is tough with singleness because it's so easy to be like, well, is there something wrong with me? I need to like fix myself. Like maybe God's getting my husband ready. And you just don't always know, and you really can't figure it out. Like ask God, Lord, is there something in my heart that's getting in the way of me walking into the dreams you have for me? Like, are there issues that you want to work through first? And be open to what he puts in your heart. You can even ask people you trust, adults that you trust, that same question. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't put something in your heart, then just trust him that he knows what he's doing, even when we don't. And lastly, but most importantly, number 5 is fall more in love with Jesus. Because really the goal of every single season in life is one and the same. The main primary goal of waiting is not to learn something, although that's one goal. The main primary goal of getting married is not to be married. The main primary goal of doing ministry is not to do ministry. Like the main goal of every season is to come closer to God. And so as long as you're coming closer to God, you are not missing anything. And there's something about the waiting seasons in life that kind of pushes us closer to God, so take advantage of that. Let it push you straight into the arms of God. Being single for most of my 20s kept me on my knees. That discomfort kept me just running to God. So use this waiting time to push you closer to Him. Something I like to pray is, God, give me a hunger and a desire for you so that I don't want to do anything or go anywhere or move out of this waiting season unless if you are leading me, because I just want to be with you. So girls, what are you doing while you're waiting, and what helps you in the waiting? Comment below, I'd love to hear. And now for our brief overview, here's what's happening in May. So this weekend, my husband and I are going to Europe for 3 weeks, and I'm so excited. I actually start shaking sometimes if I think about it too much. That's how excited I am. That's like adrenaline pumping through my body. So distracted with excitement right now. And we're gonna go to Germany, France, Austria, Switzerland, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, and Greece. You can check out my Instagram. I'm gonna try to post every day at least once so you can follow along. And my Instagram is Tiffany Dawn IQB. So we will be gone for 3 weeks, and I've recorded videos for you girls. I had them all scheduled for the whole month of May. So that's how much I love you all. And we've got some really cool ones coming up. Like next week, in honor of Mother's Day, we're doing a video called Dear Daughter, which is several moms sharing their advice. It's gonna be amazing. And then the week after that, we have a video about long distance relationships. I went and interviewed 4 different couples and asked them some of the questions that you girls have written in. And then we've got a whole bunch of other awesome ones like easy summer makeup routines and some meal ideas and other fun stuff. And on Friday, you get to come with me as I'm packing my suitcase. I'm gonna try on some different outfits that I'm thinking of taking, and you can kind of give me feedback on which ones I should definitely bring and which ones you're like, meh. Either way. Thank you for joining me. Love you girls. Bye.